You're watching the PolitBureau. Now, the question we're asking in this segment is, has government adequately dealt with the concern over Dr. Makhosi Khoza's safety, or are they trying to explain away their action or inaction in this matter? Now, her continued criticism of President Jacob Zuma has now landed her in hot water with her party. Let's have a listen here.
This is a precedent when black intellectuals express their views. He does not agree with them. He sarcastically labeled them clever blacks. I'm a black. I am clever. I am smart. I am educated. And therefore, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. This is a president who has made us feel awkward for being black and smart. This is a president who seems to yearn to be a king, hence his Kandla royal state. In case I do not make it on the 8th August 2017, Mr. President, that you know as the president, you are haunting the South African nation. Please, Mr. President, step down and respect those who elected you.
Well, let's open this up to my two guests, Professor Richard Pithouse and Prince Mashele. Professor Pithouse, I want to start with you and ask you the question, has government given us satisfactory answers about securing Dr. Khoza, or are they spinning in a way? I'm not sure if you would have heard Fikile Mbalula's responses earlier in the week about her talking to the police, communicating via social media as opposed to talking to the police service directly. Are you satisfied with the responses that have been given by government, especially in the context of orchestrated political murders?
Absolutely.
We're not trying to be alarmist here by any way.
Absolutely not. I mean, what grassroots activists have been told regularly over the last 10, 15 years is they're not using the right channels. So this is a version of the same argument. You know, if someone says that I've been subject to death threats, the issue is not what channel they're going through. The issue is that that's a real threat to basic democratic norms and to the integrity of a democracy. The action needs to be swift, it needs to be clear, it needs to be unambiguous. If the state, if the government, if the ruling party were taking this up in the way that we would expect in a democracy, they would have made it absolutely clear that the kind of character assassination, intimidation and threats to which Makhosi Khoza has been exposed are completely unacceptable. They have every right, of course, to disagree with her statements. They have every right as a political party to set certain limits to what their elected representatives can say. That's how these things work. But at the same time, they should be unambiguously opposed to this kind of politics of intimidation and character assassination, which is now moving from the subordinated parts of our society into the elite parts of our society, and I don't see that.
Mr. Mashele, what, in your view, do her continued utterances against the rot that is happening in the ANC make her vulnerable? The ANC in KwaZulu-Natal is already saying they're going to discipline her.
Yes, the problem, and we really have to put this on the table, the problem is the ANC, the ruling part. It's not some isolated stuff on the margins. Dr. Makhosi Khoza is challenging the heart of the ANC and the top echelons of the ANC. She is challenging the president. It is not surprising that there is no movement made with regard to her security, because the people who are supposed to secure her are the very same people she's challenging. So they are playing games, fooling the public that she's not cooperating with investigators, this and that. They are the very same people who are calling her a loose cannon and that she's going to be disciplined. So they are playing this space. I think that they are hoping that while they are playing this game, she could get killed. And that's very worrying, because she herself said, by the way, in case she doesn't make it on the 8th, because she can sense that she's under threat. But the people who have the power, who are supposed to take the decisions, are not acting. Why? Because she's challenging them. So to answer your question precisely, yes, her utterances are rendering her vulnerable, and we know who is actually threatening her.
Professor Pithouse, she's not the only ANC figure to criticize the president. In fact, she's not the only one in that same week that she criticized President Jacob Zuma to have actually called for him to step down. Pravin Gordhan called for him to also step down. He called on the president to step down. So why is Makhosi Khoza being singled out here?
Well, they've both been subject to extraordinary character assassination, which is a new feature of our politics, and it's part of the rot. But of course, these kind of threats are something else. I mean, I would guess it's because she's particularly charismatic and because she has just won so much popular interest and support for the position that she's taken, you know, and it's very difficult to present her as being somehow outside. You know, if it's the South African Communist Party or it's NUMSA or it's Abahlali, you can always sort of say they're outside. She's not. And I mean, certainly I see, you know, among my students, the people I teach, there's tremendous amount of respect for her. And at the same time, there's, generally speaking, incredible contempt for the president. So I think there's a real threat there.
All right, gentlemen, I must thank you for your time. We are out of time. Thank you very much for having availed yourself. Prince Mashele, political analyst, and of course, the professor at Rhodes University, Professor Richard Pithouse. Well, that's the end of this week's PolitBureau. But before we go, we wanted to take a moment and pay our respects to seasoned government communicator Ronnie Mamwepa, who passed away late on Saturday. We want to say to his family and to Ronnie himself, your professionalism in aid of our work as journalists and your kind and infectious personality will be sorely missed. Rest in peace, Ronnie Mamwepa.
Be comfortable, please. Make sure you're comfortable.
He won't see my shoe.
No, I know, but I'm saying you must be comfortable.
I am now, Manklezi so.